Hello, fellow planters. It seems like lately I've been making a lot of macrame videos. Well, I got started doing macrame only like in December, and I've never done it before. And Hobby Lobby the other day had a bunch of their floral stuff on sale, so I bought a bunch. And it's been raining outside, so I'm like, what can I do? Because the yard is wet. And these, well, they say on the label, not intended for use with water. They're fine to use with water. It's not intended for, because they made them for like their plastic floral arrangements, but why put fake stuff when you can put a real plant in here, you know? And when it's hanging, you're not constantly drenching it in water and everything, so the reality is these are gonna be fine. So now that I've mentioned that, let's get started with the project. So this cord here came from Michael's, and this cord came from Hobby Lobby. I have 170 inches and one that's, I just eyed it a little shorter, I didn't really measure. And this one's thinner, which I like more for this, but this one from Michael's is softer. This one's rough, and I was playing with it earlier, and it likes to unwind on its own, so this really isn't a good practical cord for use, so I don't know if I'll be buying that anymore, although I like that thickness for certain projects. So with that said, there's always a choice if somebody wants to use a keyring or a D-ring. You see the shape D, and the thing about the keyring is, well, let me show you the D-ring, sorry. If I run the loop through the D-ring, you know, you pick the side where the loop goes over, and for the front versus that, and if you notice, it slides. So then it could be like that on a nail as opposed to level. So for just one cord, a D-ring won't work and a keyring will be handier. However, for the shape of this, you know, it's not a nice circle. I think a D-ring will be so much better. If I can, untie this. Like I said, this cord, this rope I got from Hobby Lobby, I'm not impressed with it. I may have to just use the other one actually if this keeps giving me trouble. So the keyring, I toss it aside, and here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to take this longer cord, and I'm going to run it. Actually, to get the loop on the front, you want to run it from the front. And I'm going to run it through and feed the okay, there we go. Feed the cord through. So now I have the loop in the front, which will look pretty. Now you want to make sure these aren't wrapped over so they're nice and consistent. Okay, there we go. And then I have this one, which I'm going to loop through like so. Like that. But I'm going to keep this loose like that. Okay, I loosened the loop and I ran safety pins to keep this loose. So now what I'm going to do is start with the long end. See where this is. Take this from the front where the loop is. You know, I have these now out. I'm going to take them into the back and under, and make sure it's in between the two strands. Then make sure that's like that. Okay, perfect. Now that I have that way, I can take the shorter one, and if you look at this, that is on that side. I can take the shorter one, run it down the side that it's at. Okay, there we go. So now I have these coming this way. Okay, I'm gonna run the string around so I don't get them entangled. Toss that aside. So I have this like that. Figure out how long I want this and which ones I want in the center. If I want them to run behind each other like a big square, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to have the two in the middle there and then the two on the side that way. So in essence, these loops are going to come down that way, and I'm going to go ahead and run the big safety pin through all four, and this keeps them in check. I know some of you guys are saying, okay, that's the moment where I injure myself. So now I have this how I want it, and I can loosen the cord, the safety pins. Oopsie. And tug on these. And you want to keep them in that manner. So I'm not done yet with this, because now that I've pulled on these and have them how I want, I need to get the square knot going, or else it's not going to fly properly. And as you can see, I pulled too tight and that messed it up. So it's going to be like this, and this is here, that is there. So we keep those in the middle like so, and then I'll run this through this way, run this like that, and get the square knot started. I guess I could use that little hook there. I don't know if it's showing. No, it's not showing. It's right off camera anyway. So I have a hook. Make sure I avoid the safety pin. Keep that level. And it's working. Probably need to close those safety pins before I injure myself. So then I can run the other one through like that. And I'm in business, so I can go ahead and take this out and then figure out how to get this tighter. Oops. Yeah, that's good length. Now I can go ahead and hang this and run square knots down. So I now have this hanging, and I kind of want this to be a little tighter, but it's a little tricky to get it tight. But you see that? I do want that loop a little tighter. So I'm just going to massage it a little bit. And I have to do this very delicately so I don't mess up what I already did. And I need to keep these side by side as well. It's probably going to be about as good as it will be, but it works. Okay, so now I can do the second square knot. You want to make sure these are going to stay sideways, and if need be, I wish I had like a little clip. It's easier than the safety pin, but I can run the safety pin near the bottom and just work my way down. So let me go ahead and run a safety pin at the bottom just to keep those straight, and run the square knots down, and then we'll commence with the rest of the macrame. Okay, so I got as low as I can, unless I pull this up a little bit and keep it tight, until I got to where I put the safety pin. So without stabbing myself, Now I can commence with getting this as low as I can, but you see how this is unwinding? I don't like that because it becomes tedious and I don't know how to string it back properly. So I'm just hoping I'm going to be able to get to the bottom before I get to the unwinding, but I doubt it because every time I do this, it unwinds a little more. Yeah, drives me crazy. What I should have done was just tie knots, but then it's I'm getting a lesson in braiding here. I'm just going to tie a knot that I can loosen later. Nah. Okay, that at least didn't look too bad. So now I can take this, turn it over, and here's what I'm faced with in the back. Now what's nice is I did this a little wider, and because this goes wide, it seems to look, it looks odd, doesn't it? Anyway, someone will like it. So now I have these, I have the short and the long. So what I'm going to do is pull what I can. Okay, that still looks okay. And reach over for the scissors. I'm actually going to cut these down about, you see where I have all these ridges? I'm going to cut them down to near the bottom of the ridges. One thing I'm going to do with the back is get the string out the way. Whoops. That's a good way over your shoulder to get it out of the way, is take all these frayed ones that are down, pull them tight and centered, and I'm going to run this over there just to hold it in place. It doesn't need to be there once it's done, but chances are I'm not going to remove it afterwards. So now what I'm going to do is run a loop around and through. So just loosely and through, just to get it started. Okay. Then pull. Now one thing is, I want it at the top one, but you don't want it overly tight or else it will slip off. And once I have that, I can get the other ones in the center tighter. You know, this one a little tighter, not that much tighter. And then as I get further in, even more, I can, you know, get pulled tighter. Because you don't want these to slide off. Well, they are sliding off. So I guess that idea fell out of the wayside. So I put a dab of super glue around it, put another dab there, wrapped it around, and as I got down, you see how it curves? It caused it to slide under. So I had to, the last 2 or 3 layers just behind it at the corner, a little dab, and here you see I have a dab on here, and it's really frayed, but at least I can now, I wanted to initially wrap it from under, but you see I don't even like how these have pulled a little slack, so I could always put a little super glue just to keep it looking like, you know, tighter. Anyway, I'm going to focus on this piece first. This is so annoying how it frays like crazy. So I'm going to run it through that loop and out like that. And I can basically, it holds the other piece in place, and I can now tie a knot. I don't like how this sticks out too far, but it's, you know, the nature of the beast, I guess. Because I like things to be flush against the wall. I don't even like the little hangers on picture frames, but I have just enough to tie a knot, although albeit a little tediously so, and the fact that it's all frayed, but you know, this got loose and I foresaw that, So I can always put a dab of super glue on the front to keep it that way. But let me tighten this and put that under there. So now we'll go to the front. Whoa. And I just need a couple small dabs of super glue right here. And this thing's almost empty. Okay, right there and right here. I'm gonna put a third one there just so it stays looking better. And run this up till it slides in. And what's nice is the super glue dries fast on the string. It soaks up and dries fast, especially the back isn't glazed, so that really helped. And here's the finished result. Now these I can always super glue them to stay that way versus fanning out a little bit. It's just depending on what look someone is trying to achieve. And this is how it looks on the wall. You can have a nail here. Because this is not perfectly flush, it's causing it to angle out a little bit, which will make a nice appearance with the plant, and I think it looks good even though I prefer things flush against the wall. And you can always add a second nail, one here, or screw actually. I don't like using nails on walls because they get loose and then things fall down. And then another screw there just for extra stability if you need to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this macrame project and learned a few things and new tricks for your own. Thanks for watching and happy planting.